Next, we're going to be installing our amplifier bracket. Locate template B in the kit and cut it out. Place template B just underneath the steering column. You're going to see a grommet. The template fits just underneath the grommet. Scribe the mark and then drill the hole. Be very careful what you're drilling into. Don't drill too deep into the Watercraft. Reach your hand into the back and feel around the area to make sure there's no vital cables or hoses that are going to get struck. Now that we drilled our first hole for our amplifier bracket, we're going to take the bracket and we're going to pin a bolt in that hole so that we can get a mark for our other hole. Line up the amplifier bracket with our speaker pod bracket. With our bolt in the front as a reference, once the bracket is relaxed, go ahead and make a little mark using our drill bit. Pull the bracket away and we'll drill the rest of the hole. The next thing that we're going to be installing is our audio controller and our watertight seal. Both of these are going into the glove box. So as you can see here, the hole is located about 2 3/8 inches away from the top of the lid and is located in the center of the lid. Next, feed your audio controller through the hole. Line up the hole with the grommet with the corresponding pin on the controller. Now that we have our audio controller installed into our lid, we're going to install the smaller, thinner seal on the bottom, run the wires through the seal and onto the base of the threaded portion of the controller. Center the audio controller and snugly tighten the nut. Next up is to install our watertight seal. We're going to use the same 1 1/8 hole saw we used to install our audio controller into our lid. The watertight seal goes on the left side of the glove box. Install the watertight seal into the 1 1/8 hole that we just drilled. Now it's time to fit our sub underneath our glove box and our steering column. So here's the sub that we're going to slide in underneath the glove box and our steering column. Remove the accent panel and we'll get the sub and fit it into place. The kit comes with 2 long L brackets and 1 short L bracket. Also included with the kit is foam strips. These foam strips need to be installed in the correct location according to the instructions. This is going to prevent any rattling or vibration. Mark the location of this bracket and the other 2 brackets on the other side. Pull the sub back out and drill the locations with a 1/4 inch drill bit. Mount the amplifier onto the amplifier plate using the provided screws in the kit. The screws come with flat washers and a lock washer. Tighten all 4 screws. So now it's time to connect the wiring. First thing I did is hook up the power wires. These are the 2 leads that we ran previously back through the firewall into the circuit breaker. Next, there's a multi-pin connector that'll hook up to the harness. This amplifier harness has the leads for our audio controller. Also, it has the leads for our sub and our left and right speakers. The RC8 comes with an extension. You'll need to plug the extension in to reach the other side of the controller. The RC8 cable coming from the amplifier has these protective boots. Using a utility knife, cut the protective boot, and with the provided heat shrink, you're going to heat shrink the ends. Now that we have our amplifier harness cables connected on our left side to our audio controller, we're going to hook up our sub. And since we haven't put on our speaker pods yet, we're going to leave our speaker leads free. This time we're going to do our best, do some wire management I call it, and bunch this wire up so that it looks nice and neat. So last but not least, we're moving on to our speaker pod assemblies. We got our 2 6.5 inch speaker pods. What we're going to do is we're going to take the face of the speaker and take the whole speaker out of the enclosure. The reason the speaker needs to be removed from the enclosure is so that you could access the screw heads to fix it to the mounting plate. You'll also need to connect a 2-pin Deutsch connector after the speaker is mounted to the Watercraft and the cable has passed through the panel and the grommet. So here we are back at the Watercraft, ready to install the speaker pod onto the Watercraft. The instructions ask you to put the panel onto the Watercraft and then run your wiring. I found it easier if we leave the panel loose, pull the panel away while we feed the cable through the panel, and then connect our 2-pin connector, zip tie the cables, and then tuck it away under the panel as we install everything in one piece. Right before installing the speaker pod, apply a little red Loctite to the threads of the screws. Last step in installing the speaker will be to put on the decorative cap. Install a small bead of silicone sealant about a 1/2 inch away from the cap's edge, and hold the cap on using masking tape while it cures overnight. Now 24 hours later, our silicone sealant has dried on our caps. We reinstalled all the panels that we previously removed, and now it's time to test our system. So this concludes the installation of the JL Audio Slam Pak system for the Yamaha Wave Runner. If you've ever been thinking about adding some sounds to your Wave Runner, this is definitely the audio system you want to get. It's a decision you won't regret.